Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast. I'm your host, Austin Creed. My friends, I want to welcome you to the realest podcast you'll ever listen to in your life. I know it's a very bold statement, but trust me, I plan to deliver. Now, we're not going to really talk about politics today. We'll touch on self-improvement today, but we are really going to talk about relationships today. We're really going to break this down. And I want to preface this right out of the gate with none of this is intended for hatred. None of this is intended to harm anybody. I don't want you to go out and do anything. I don't want you to do any of those things. This is for your education and entertainment. I want you to use this to allow yourself to become free. In America, we like to use the word freedom interchangeably as if it's something that's guaranteed. While it is a fundamental right of every human being, too many people see it as a burden. The price is too high to be paid. Before we really hop into this, I want to read you a quote that I found this morning that really touched a raw nerve within my psyche. And you know what? We're going to look at it right now. There's several good quotes here. Before we jump into the videos and we jump more into the very heavy, deep topics, I guarantee you, men especially, you're going to be mad today. You're not going to like what I tell you. It's going to be a really, really tough dose of medicine. And ladies, if you watch this show, you're not going to be happy either. No one's going to be happy today. I'm not here to make you happy. I'm here to give you the information that you need to set yourself free. At the end of the day, let's look at one of my favorite quotes by Voltaire, French philosopher, writer. Man is free at the moment he wishes to be. Freedom is essential to everyone's life. The problem is most people see freedom itself as the burden and are all too happy to subject themselves to servitude. Why do I say that? Well, let's go to Edward Gibbon's right here. Edward Gibbon. In the end, they wanted security more than they wanted freedom. Anybody listening to this show tell me that they would rather have freedom than security? Please, I would love to hear it, because at the end of the day, that's a very tough thing to do. And if I have to be the last man standing, whether it be on YouTube, Rumble, the podcasting in general, if I have to be the only person to give you this information, then
fine. I'll do it myself.
If I have to do it, I will. And by the end of the show, I can guarantee you that most of you, you're going to be talking like this.
You're despicable.
That's okay. I'll take that role if that's what's need be. You can call me whatever you want, but you can never call me a liar. Now, let's hop in. Why do I make all these disclaimers? Austin, what in the hell could you be telling me that's so important, so earth-shattering, that you have to give all of these prefaces, you have to make all these forewarnings, you have to give me all this lead-up? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because now we're going to get into it right now. I won't make you wait anymore. I will not make you wait a second longer. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to really jump into the art of manipulation. We're going to jump into it today. And before we jump into it, I'm going to make my claims, and then I'm going to state my case and let my case unravel. I'm going to let you know right here and right now that, gentlemen, if you see women as weaker, you're wrong. In fact, I'm going to assert for you right here on this show today that the war that few men ever fight, much less win, is the war against themselves. Because we like to believe as men, before I share this video, I want to make one more thing clear. We as men like to think that we're stronger than women, we're better than women, or we'll think that. We'll think that maybe, in passing even. Oh, we're stronger than them, they're a little goofy, whatever. No, women are actually smarter than most men. Here's the difference though. Most men are lemmings, most women are lazy. I'll repeat that in case you missed it. Most men are lemmings, followers. Most women are lazy. Now, I didn't come up with this statement. That statement was told to me by a woman. Okay? So before you want to call me names, my entire premise today, this show, is based off of the writings of a woman. Oh, and don't worry, I'll get her name to you as we go on the show. But before we do that, I can't give away everything right out the gate. We're going to go into this. Because women like to say that men are the manipulators. We are diabolical, we're evil, we're bad men. But I'm going to tell you this right now. The only men that can even manipulate in general are the ones who learn it from their mothers, their girlfriends, their sisters, their grandmothers. They learn it from women. Women are natural manipulators, and by the end of the show, you will see why. Let's get on with this. And let me know what you think in the comments below as we go through these.
Signs your boyfriend is manipulative. 1. They always play victim. You guys might be having an argument, and all of a sudden the tables will turn on you. Even if you're not wrong in the situation, you might start to feel really guilty. He'll make it seem like he's always right and you're always wrong. Boyfriends like this will find it difficult to admit when they're wrong. They'll find any way to make it seem like they're the victim in the story. 2. They don't care about your problems. Let's say you're having a really bad day and you're venting to your partner about this, and they don't even care. For example, I was reading a story about a girl who would vent to her boyfriend, and her boyfriend would count the amount of minutes she would spend venting. Once she was done venting, he would say things like, "Wow, you spent 5 minutes of my time today." If your partner says things like this, beware. Yes, sometimes people tend to vent a lot, and it could be draining. But if this is a problem in your relationship, that is not the way to talk to your partner.
Okay. Before we go through, I'm going to go through this again. I know, I don't really want to listen to it again either, but we're going to go through it again, and I'm going to explain to you why. Everything she just described is exactly what women do to men. Now, I know you're going to buck. I know you're going to say, Austin, what, you're just saying this because you're bitter or you're going to make up excuses. I understand that. I did too when I first started to learn about this concept. I understand. I sympathize with you. I do. Here's the issue, though. Let me ask you something. When men are young, before we go through this video again, we're going to talk about this real quick. When men are 5 years old, when boys are 5 years old and women are 5 years old, what toys do men play with? What toys are men given when they're boys? We're given trains, planes, robots, toy soldiers. Maybe we have cap guns, play cowboys and Indians, whatever. That is what we are given. We are given technology. We are given these things to play with. Women are given dolls to play with, people to play with. Why? Well, they'd have you believe that one is masculine and one is feminine, when in fact, that is actually that is a creation of society. That is a conditioning response. Because let me tell you something. Women, okay, before I go into that, let me ask you another question. Who raises most children? Mothers, right? Whether it's single mothers, married mothers, that doesn't matter. Children are reared traditionally by women, and to a large extent by women. Now, I'm not gonna dump too much on you at one time, because I realize I've already given you a lot to swallow. I understand that. Pause. But here's really where I mention this to you, because women manipulate men, not because they're evil, but because that is what their mothers learned to do, and that is how they get what they want out of life. Women could create things for themselves. They could do all the things that men do right now. They can. And some women actually do. Most do not. Why? Because they don't need to. Why? Let me ask you something. You listening to the show. If you didn't have to work and you had a robot go out and work for you, work your job, run your errands, fill up your car, do all these things for you, and you could sit at home and do nothing, would you do that? Probably you would, right? Well, that's what women do. That's what men do for women. That's what women get you as a man to do for them. They're not actually stupid. Women are not stupid. They're very smart. But they don't have to be smart because they can get you to do it for them. And because you are naturally inclined and conditioned to, it's masculine to work. You're a B word if you don't go work. You're weak if you don't go to work. If you don't have a 9-to-5 job, you are a weak man in the eyes of society. You are a weak, useless man if you are not providing something to women and or children. You are considered a weak, useless man. You ever notice that? That is not an accident. That is exactly how society was intended to operate. Because society evolves around security, not around freedom. Freedom is considered the ultimate act of rebellion to a civilized society. There is one man that I know in my life who I greatly respect. He has never been married. He's always been single, and he is considered the black sheep of my family. When I first heard about him, my mom described him as weird. He's eccentric. He's weird. He's not normal. Almost like he was, mentally crazy or something like that, and not in like a negative way. Just saying he was different. But also almost like you don't really want to associate with him. He's kind of weird. And I said to myself, really? Oh, well now I'm curious by this guy, and I didn't meet him until I was in the military, and I met him for the first time. Oh, and keep in mind, it's not like this dude was living in a shack. He's very rich. And he's been alone. Being alone as a man, that takes strength. Now, I know you're conditioned by society to say if you're alone, you are weak. That is wrong. You are actually strong. Why? Because you are resisting society. You are following the rules you have set for yourself. That is freedom. Freedom is writing your own rules and then deciding whether or not to follow them. That is freedom. Most people only want the freedom to be comfortable and to feel secure, not to actually go out there and make their own rules. So returning to this video, let's go back to signs your boyfriend is manipulative, and we're going to walk through every single one of these things, and I'm going to explain to you why all of this is projection in my estimation.
Signs your boyfriend is manipulative. 1. They always play victim.
Pause right there. Number 1, they always play the victim. Gentlemen, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you were in an argument with a woman and then she immediately took the victim role? Right out the gate, whether it's she was crying, whether it's she made it your fault, whether it's she blamed you for something, or you didn't do something, or you did something, you didn't do something, you should have done something. How many times have you entered an argument with a woman and she has took the blame? No, that was a serious question. I'm not saying that she necessarily should. I'm asking you a question. Don't get it twisted here. Again, do not jump to conclusions. I want you to answer a simple question. When was the last time you saw that? When was the last time you were in a relationship with a woman like this and she didn't automatically take the exact role she's saying that you're going to take? Where do you think that this man learned this from? Answer, he probably learned it from his mother when she did it to your father, if you had one at all. That's where you learned that from. That's where she learned that from her mother. There was a quote that I heard, which we'll get into in a little bit. I'll play you a little excerpt of this book that's changing my life right now. That opened my eye. It reaffirmed what I already suspected to be true. But it's from a woman's perspective. Women see the world differently than you do as a man, if you didn't know that. Now, you could pretend to see it their way. You could try to see it their way, but just like they can try to see it your way. But we fundamentally live two different existences entirely. Because we want two totally different things. Man wants peace. Women want to be prosperous for as little work as possible. Now, we're going to keep going, and we're going to break this down a little further.
You guys might be having an argument, and all of a sudden the tables will turn on you. Even if you're not wrong in the situation, you might start to feel really guilty. Filmmaker.
Gentlemen, how many times have you thought that in your relationship? I'm serious. How many times has this happened to you? And if I had to be the only person talking about this, and I had the guts to bring this up, then...
Fine. I'll do it myself.
End of story. No, I understand. You don't like... This makes you uncomfortable, probably. I understand that. It made me uncomfortable when I first learned about this, okay? Made me really uncomfortable, too. But you know what? It all goes back to what I said earlier. Most people only want the freedom to be comfortable, not the freedom to be free. Freedom comes at a price, and that price One of those price points is your comfortability and your personal security. By the end of this show, I can guarantee you this will be you.
I had strings, but now I'm free.
You'll feel like you had strings, but you'll be free. The truth will set you free, and none of this is false. Let's keep going.
It seem like he's always right and you're always wrong. Boyfriends like this will find it difficult to admit when they're wrong. They'll find any way to make it seem like they're the victim in the story. 2, they don't care about your problems. Let's say you're having a really bad day and you're venting to your partner about this, and they don't even care.
Most women don't give a crap about your problems, by the way. They don't. They don't care. And of course, the minute I say that, they'll say this.
This is the worst kind of discrimination. The kind against me.
They'll say that right out the gate, but they won't call me a liar. They'll just gaslight me. Again, this is what I want you to understand. You need to understand you have been conditioned to associate a negative reaction with being wrong. That is not true. In fact, the opposite is true. When someone is angry with you, that usually means you're on the right track and they don't like it. I'll repeat that in case you missed it. If someone gets mad at what you say, that usually means you are correct. Because if you weren't, they'd probably laugh instead of be angry. You see how that works? But then they'll make it about their emotions to what you said, not about the actual substance in what you said. Sound familiar? Yeah, exactly. Let's keep going.
For example, I was reading a story about a girl who would vent to her boyfriend, and her boyfriend would count the amount of minutes she would spend venting. Once she was done venting, he would say things like, "Wow, you spent 5 minutes of my time today." If your partner says things...
Okay, again. If this is so bad, then why do women pick men like this? Answer: because they are rogues. You want to know why? Okay, you know what? Before I get off this video, let's look at these comments real quick. Let's look at this. See, look at this. How about if your boyfriend picks and chooses what topics in the story to start an argument about? I wonder where he learned that one from. I had a horrible day, and I couldn't even fully vent because he cut me off in the middle to give me advice. In other words, he tried to actually fix your problem. Gentlemen, they don't want a solution to their problem because they see you as inferior. They don't actually want your advice. I hesitate to even say this because you probably won't accept it. Most people won't accept what I'm about to tell you. Not because you're stupid, but because it seems so counter to everything you've ever been told. You ever wonder why women don't really care about compliments that men give them? You ever wonder why women don't really care? For example, women will say, "Oh, I don't dress this way for men." He's actually not totally lying. Does she potentially want to hear about, from an attractive guy like a Chad or a Tyrone? Sure, she'll take it. But she wants the validation of other women. You know why that's the case? Because men, that would be the equivalent of, let's say you're a professional, right? Let's say that you are at the top of your field, right? You're an entrepreneur, you built your business, you're making millions of dollars, right? And then some upstart guy who's nowhere near your level says, "Oh, you're doing a good job." You're gonna be like, "Duh, of course I did a good job." Like, what? Of course I did.
What?
Of course I did a great job. What do you expect? That is what women, for example, when a guy says, "Wow, you look really good in that dress," she knows she looks good in that dress. What do you know about dresses? You never put one on. You don't know about dresses. So your opinion means nothing to her. Zero. You're not an expert in it, so she doesn't care. If you're attractive, she might care a little bit because she could get something out of you. But even then, it won't mean as much as if another woman says, "Wow, that's a great dress on you," which other women will say in hopes of getting it in return. You see, most men do not exist to most women. You are invisible. You are nothing more than a robot. You are the equivalent of ChatGPT to most women. Yes, you heard me right. You're not mishearing. I mean exactly what I just said. Now, that is not meant to make you mad at them. I don't want you to be mad at them. I want you to take this advice and say, you know what? I need to stop trying to impress women, because at the end of the day, why am I trying to prove myself to someone who's trying to exploit me? Women are capable of working the same way that men are. Why do most of them not do it? Because they don't have to. Why should they? If they can get you to do it for them, why should they? Now, again, I'm not saying this because I hate women. I don't hate women. I really don't hate anybody. What I don't like, one thing I do hate is ignorance. And that is why I strive to tell you things that are probably going to make you upset. Not because I want to upset you, because I want to give you the information that I was not given, that I had to find for myself, that I hope you will understand and use to better your life, in the hopes that you will grab freedom and take life for a ride instead of it riding you your entire life. And to drive my point home, we're going to get back to manipulation, and I'm going to give you another, actually, no, you know what? I'm going to give you the real dose for, actually, no. We're going to lead with this first.
How to manipulate a man and make him obsessed with you. Step number 1. We don't manipulate around here. That man is not for you if you are even thinking or entertained by this idea of manipulating him. Leave him to it. Let him do what he wants to do naturally, the decisions he would make on his own, so you can figure out quicker whether to leave him or stay with him and whether
You lied to me.
The only thing you need to do is carry yourself well and set the standard. I kid you not, and I speak from experience when I say these 2 methods will literally make an emotionally available man try and change his ways for you. Once you start.
See, again, so we're not trying to manipulate men, we're just trying to change them. You see how she told on herself again? Gentlemen, I need you to accept this one simple fact. And ladies, if you're here, I need you to be honest with these men. Yes, some of the men might be mad that you're being honest, but I want you to do me a favor, because I already know the answer. You don't need to prove it to me. You need to prove it to the men who are going to listen to this show, who might read the comment section. I need you to tell me if I'm lying when I say this. Women have a secret language that is incomprehensible to most men. It's like the Aesopian language that the communists used before the Russian Revolution. They'll say something, but it's not what they mean. They mean something entirely different when they say something. And oh, don't worry, we'll get into this, because I'm going to give y'all some next level game, not from my mouth, but from the mouth of a woman who knows, who will validate exactly what I'm saying to you. So, before we do that though, we're going to finish this video. But again, before we finish this video, let's look at this comment section. I don't want him, I want revenge.
Oh, hell no!
You hear that? She wants revenge. Again, I will never manipulate. If a guy is meant for you, it's yours. Just be yourself. And if he can't accept you, then you should not be in his life. In other words, what did I say about women being lazy? In other words, he needs to do everything for me. Oh, and don't worry, she will try to manipulate you. That part was a lie. But when it comes down to being lazy, yes, most women are lazy. They are not dumb. Women are not dumb. I need you to get this through your head. Women are not dumb. Do they act a little ditzy sometimes? Yes. Why? Because it is an attempt to manipulate you. Because they understand this one simple fact about men. Men are attracted to youth, which is why most men act like children. Now, I'm not saying that men are attracted to children. In fact, that's illegal. That should not ever be the case. What I am saying is this: the same women who are older, who will say that men should not date women who are 18 years old because that's creepy, are the same women who will try to look and act like that 18-year-old girl to get the attention of that same man. Make that make sense. Please. There's only one answer.
You lied to me.
That's the only answer. Let's keep going in this video.
You start carrying yourself with an I don't care attitude, I'm just out to have fun, have a great time, create memories, you'll have the best aura, be giving off the best energy that people will naturally be drawn to you. Standard you set. No man should be in your life and think it's acceptable to be in a situationship with you, or it's acceptable to not state his intentions very early on. Whatever your standards are, whether they are to be exclusive by a certain time, be taken on a dinner date within the first week, you set them, you make them clear, and you don't budge on them. They are your boundaries. And even if he doesn't want to accept them, which is very unlikely because just you putting your foot down and having those standards will seem very attractive to a man and make him want to chase you, it's fine, because you're not chasing and you're not desperate to be dating or in a relationship. You're fine with or without that person. Detachment.
Okay. Do you realize how much game she just gave you? She gave you a lot of game. She basically said that you men, we as men, are like guppies in a fish tank. She throws the hook, you bite it, she reels you in. She, again, goes back to women are lazy. Most of them are lazy. And to add insult to injury, she also made the point that women use their cat to get things from you. Oh, yeah. Yes, you heard me right. In fact, the woman that I'm about to play for you, in her book, The Manipulated Man, which I'm not going to play the whole book, but I'm going to play for you how to decipher the language that the women use. And men, this is why I tell you, the war that most men do not win is the one against themselves, because you're not thinking for yourself. You are thinking based off predilections and conditioned behavior that has been taught to you by women and by men who have also been conditioned by women. And this is not meant to demonize women. This is meant to show you how you have been conditioned, manipulated, and exploited. This woman, this book is written by a woman. I'll pull it up right here. Esther Vilar. She wrote this book back in the 1970s in response to feminism. Her assertion was this: it is not the men who are exploiting women. It is women who exploit men. Not because they are evil, but because they are lazy and because men are all too willing to do it. We're going to play this chapter. We're going to go through it. We're going to dissect it. I only ask that you keep an open mind, because this is going to hit you between the eyes. Let's get started.
A dictionary. Constant self-abasement in the presence of men has led women to develop a secret language which other women understand, but is incomprehensible to men, since they take it literally. It would, therefore, be a great advantage to men to hold the key to this code and so create a sort of dictionary for themselves. Then, whenever they heard a standard phrase, they could decipher its real meaning. Here are a few examples with a translation into male language.
I want to pause it right here before we keep going. Number one, for fair use purposes, and number two, because I want to remind all of you, what you are about to hear was not written by some angry, bitter, hurt man. This is a woman who wrote this book. This is a woman who wrote this, okay? So do not get mad at me for what she says. This is a woman giving you game on what women do. You ready for this? This happens every single day of your life. If you are ready and you think you can handle it, we're going to proceed.
A man must be able to protect me.
A man must be able to spare me from all forms of discomfort.
What else could he protect her from? Robbers? An atom bomb? I need a man to make me feel secure.
Above all, he must keep his money worries to himself.
I must be able to look up to a man.
To be a possible candidate as a husband, he must be more intelligent, responsible, courageous, industrious, and stronger than I am. Otherwise, what purpose would he serve?
Y'all listening to this? Are you listening to this? Again, I guarantee you some of you are going to buck and you're going to be tempted to turn it off because you can't take it anymore. I'm going to encourage you to take this in smaller doses. If you need to come back, listen to it again, that is fine. But I want you to understand what you're dealing with here. Relationships are not meant to help you. They are meant to exploit you as a man. You need to understand this simple fact of reality. The more you try to wiggle around this, the more you are showing symptoms of the very conditioning she is explaining. Let's continue.
Of course I would give up my career if my husband asked me.
Once he is earning enough money, I am never going to work again.
The only thing I want in life is to make him happy.
I will do everything in my power to stop him from knowing how much I exploit him.
Wow.
I will never bother him with trivial problems.
I'll do anything rather than keep him away from his work.
I am there for him alone.
No other man has to work for me.
In future, I shall devote my life to my family.
I'm not going to lift another finger for the rest of my life. It's his turn now.
I also want to pause it again and let you know something. This same woman in her in this book gave the following statement, and I want to hear your response to this quote, and it's this: For what but money ties a woman to a man? For what but money could bind a woman to a man? Cynical, isn't it? Very, very cynical. Now, again, this was written about 50 years ago. This wasn't written yesterday, not 5 days ago, not 5 months ago, 50 years ago. Now, this woman to this day gets threats, gets completely, her whole life was upended after she wrote this book in the 70s. Because she gave you the key. She gave you the cipher through which to decipher the code of dating. The dating matrix was exposed for what it was: the biggest business of exploitation on the planet. Let's continue.
I don't believe in women's liberation.
I'm not such a fool. I'd rather let a man do the work for me.
After all, we are living in an age of equality.
If he thinks he can order me about just because he earns more money for me, he is sorely mistaken.
I'm so bad at doing things like that.
That's a job he will have to do. What's he there for anyway?
He knows absolutely everything.
He even serves the function of an encyclopedia.
Oh,
If a couple really love each other, there is no need to get married at once.
He is being a bit obstinate, but I'll soon get around him in bed.
oh, yes. Oh, you didn't know that women use sex against you as a man? You didn't know that? You do. You're welcome. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's correct. Again, I understand. You don't want to hear this. You want to hear that women love you for you, that relationships have everything to do with you gaining as a man, that they're sugar spice and everything nice, but that is public relation propaganda like language. And if I had to be the only person discussing this, then yet again, take it away, Thanos.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
I'll do it myself if I have to do it. I don't want to, but I will. And like I promised you that by the end of this show, you would be saying this, or at least have the opportunity to say this.
I had strings, but now I'm free.
You had strings before, now you don't. What are you going to do about that? The answer really lies to you. What do you choose to do? Are you going to choose to buck? Are you going to choose to not accept what I'm saying to you? That's your choice. But if you go to these videos and you look in the comments section, you'll see men who are 50 who said, I've been married for X number of years, and this is true. And I wish I'd found this 30 years ago, 20 years ago. This is not easy to accept. but you must accept it if you wish to win the war that few men have the guts to even address, much less fight. It is my desire that you not grow up to hate or become resentful, but instead strive to claim the reward that is your birthright, and that is freedom. Every man is born a slave, and it is only through obtaining knowledge and power that he may break the chains, not around his arms or his legs, but around his brain and his emotions. And I hope that today you learned something. And if you like what you heard, trust me, there's much more to come, and I've done multiple shows addressing similar topics. Now, I realize that this is a very tough thing to talk about, and a very even more difficult thing to accept. And it is because of that, my DMs are open on X at Sheep Get Sheared. If you want to have the conversation in a respectful manner, I am open to having that discussion. If you want to leave your thoughts in the comments, you're welcome to do that. I only ask you to do this respectfully. This is a logical discussion. Now, I understand you're likely to have an emotional response to this. That is your right. But do not let your emotions dictate your life, for doing so will cause you to make short-term, irrational decisions that could lead to permanent damage, which is not my desire for you. My friends, whatever you choose to do with this information, I hope that you stay vigilant, you stay informed, and you question everything that you've heard today. And I hope you have a good day, and that you use this to better your life. Take care of yourselves. I'm out. Peace.